Hello everyone and welcome to the Going Against the Grain podcast. I'm way too hot.
You are hot stuff. And I'm not so hot, but I'm also called Dan. Hiya, again.
For the first time ever, Dan has taken the lead on planning this podcast. So if you think the normal ones are a train wreck,
you
get fucking ready.
Indeed. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Dan sent me a document yesterday. Not once have I sent him a document when planning any of these things. It's just I expect him to read my mind and then sit down and talk about whatever topic I've come up with 10 minutes before we sit down and record. Yeah. Whereas he has gone into far more depth. Yeah. There are several sheets in his hand, as you may be able to see.
Un, deux, and that third one there is called trois. So yeah, we got three of them.
All of which we're hoping to get through in the next day or two.
Basically, yeah. Smashed it.
So Dan, introduce your podcast.
What I wanted to do, I wanted to create content that was actually useful. I thought I'd give that a go. We've had a lot of fun over the last year or so creating these podcasts, and as we have both rightfully called it, it's been our therapy sessions, hasn't it? And I've thoroughly enjoyed all of them, but maybe there's some bits and pieces we could actually tell the wonderful viewers or viewership some little helpful life hacks. So today's podcast is modern life hacks and productivity tips. That's what we're bringing to the table, right? Any thoughts on the topic?
I think it's very bold for two people of our maturity and social standing to be giving other people advice, but we shall see.
Yeah. Well, what I kind of realised when picking the topic is that I know X amount ain't going to get people that far. So I did a little bit more research into it as well, and I've got some notes on that. Hence this paper being with me today, because I thought I'd rather deliver you accuracy than what I normally deliver you, which is just nonsensical opinions. Yeah. So here we are. Basically, what I think is really important, or a lot of people, especially when I was like, say, 22, 23, I had the Oxford Vapors Company up and running. At the time, I think we had something like 18 employees across 3 shops, a small warehouse. Like, it was getting a bit hectic. And I had no time management tool. I wasn't using anything to try and make sure that I'd get everything done that was necessary in a sensible time frame. So I went searching for useful advice and words of wisdom that only Audible can provide. That's a little plug there to the Amazon guys, because I don't like reading. It makes me tired. So I thought I'd go audio. Yeah. And I found this wonderful little audio book. I'm going to read the exact name out here because it's important that you can go and find this stuff to then get the benefits. And the book that I listened to, and nobody recommended me this, just a random pluck out of the time management books that they have on there. And it's called 15 Secrets Successful People Know About Time Management. The book is by an author called Kevin Kruse. Just a little...
Definitely a real name.
And the Kruse is spelt Kruse, for those of you that are wanting to find this book. But what I can safely say is, I was a very narrow-minded, headstrong little bastard. It's probably the best way I can put it. I liked the fact that I'd come up with my own little techniques to get through life. Very naive indeed. So I've never really been a fan of like webinars or going to fucking talks and having somebody lecture me about how to live my life. But I thought, in this process, I need to improve, Tay. So I got the book and I went, no matter what you hear here, Dan. Well, no matter what you hear here, Dan. That's terrible, isn't it? But 2 different spellings. Bear with me. You just got to approach it open-mindedly. And I did. And I started introducing some of the techniques that are referenced in the audiobook into my own life. And life became less stressful, way more fast-paced, which seems strange. You shouldn't be able to pick up and do more things but feel less stressed. But honestly, some of the little tips in this, game changers, right? So, what I'm going to do before we get into the actual book of the 15 secrets successful people know about time management is I'm going to run you through one of the internet's favourite systems. There's actually a few of them on here. I believe it is 4 in total. 5 in total that we've got to give you. So here we are. The first one is called the Pomodoro technique. It could be Pomodoro, but I'm going to go Pomodoro.
Sounds like a chapter of the Kama Sutra.
It could well be. It could well be. You're going to get flexible and hopefully not so out of breath.
Deal with your stress.
Yeah, indeed it would. It would. Better than Pornhub. Here we go. So, the Pomodoro technique is a time management method that involves breaking work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. The reason why they suggest short breaks, by the way, there's been a lot of studies done on people who work in offices, mainly desk workers and stuff, which I'm assuming applies to most of the people that are watching this. If you're a desk worker, sorry, mate, or sorry, woman, but I'm sorry.
Women can't be mates.
I don't have any female mates, and I wouldn't refer to a woman as mate.
Do you not?
No, I don't.
I do.
I refer to them much more respectfully.
Why is mate not respectful?
No, I'm joking. I honestly don't know why I chose those words, Tay, but I chose them. And they got delivered with confidence. Again, naively. I should have been way more unsure about myself there. We're going to have to deal with that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Pomeranian technique. What's this?
Pomodoro.
That's the one.
So, what they recommend here, how to use it. Choose a task you want to work on. Imagine you need to find yourself a new car insurance provider, right? Now, we all know that there's comparison sites and they kind of do most of the work for you. It does speed things up. Lovely jubbly. We all get it. But unfortunately, some of those forms can take an absolute age to fill in, especially if you've had a crash or a bloody fine in the last fucking 5 years that they can penalise you for time and time again. But that, for example, you would write down that you want to complete your car insurance. You need to get new car insurance for your vehicle. Spend no more than 25 minutes on it. That's your aim, right? Set that as your little time block. That's what I'm going to do. And then once you finish that time block, if it's still not completed, give yourself a cheeky 2-minute break. What they mean by breaks, by the way, is not sitting there on your phone and then looking through TikTok and YouTube and having stimulus. The objective is to take yourself out of those environments. All you want to do, pop yourself outside where you can see a bit of nature, have a ganders, productivity goes through the roof.
Shit if you live in Slough, but there we go.
Well, they can look out the window and see pretty much a zoo. So, you know, that's nature, isn't it?
That's true, I suppose.
Crackheads are weirdly natural, as
Yeah.
strange as that is.
And it is fun to observe them. So
It's very fun. Very fun. And if any
that's
of
why
you...
I'm looking forward to my trip to Bournemouth later this month.
Yeah, because they actually come to Boscombe.
Yeah.
Rehab town. Yeah. Gascoigne might be back. Who knows?
Oh, there you go.
Depends if he's been on the old sauce again. Cheeky Gascoigne. Anyway, don't drink and drive. Excuse the link there. But fundamentally, this is the concept. They recommend you take a 5-minute break. I think that's too long after 25 minutes of work. Like, in the UK, we go to school, we do an hour lesson, and then we get sometimes a minute break, which is to get to the next classroom. If it's break time, you get 15 minutes after 2 hours of learning. You don't need to be having 5 minutes every 25 minutes. In my personal opinion here, there's no point me just giving you what they suggest and not interjecting my own bits and bobs. Otherwise, why would you listen to me? You would just go straight to them, wouldn't you? So there we are. That's why I'm just chucking my own bits and bobs in there. What they say is repeat the cycle 4 times, then take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes, after doing 2 hours worth of work. Personally, I think that system can work for a lot of people that have either ADHD or they struggle to concentrate for long enough. Exactly. If focusing for prolonged periods of time is an issue for you, give yourself a fucking break. Doesn't take a genius, does it? You know, just give
I
it a
gave
go.
myself 15 years.
What of a break? What were you having a break from, Tay?
Health.
Wow, that was close. Wow. Thanks, Tay. Here's me fucking dying and you're choking on coffee, you prick. When you got covered then? Health. Of course it was. Jesus. Alright, so that is the Pomodoro technique. They recommend that the benefits are increases focus and concentration, help to avoid burnout by including regular breaks, and creates a sense of urgency or reducing procrastination. Any thoughts on that first one there, Tay? The Pomodoro technique, or the Pomeranian as you called it?
I do think that, on a serious note, that these are very much aimed at neurotypical people, as people call them. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So obviously, without like autism, ADHD, anything wrong upstairs, you know.
We're all fucked.
Because I know that from the perspective of someone who doesn't have diagnosed ADHD but has ADHD, the difference between a 25-minute workload and a 3-hour workload isn't the difference between burning out and not burning out.
Mm-hmm.
Burning out when you have something like ADHD happens anyway. Do you know what I mean?
I don't have ADHD, so I couldn't possibly
So
say.
yeah, you just get periods of burnout. So the ADHD is odd because you get like periods of hyperfocus where speaking personally, I'll produce fucking loads of stuff, and then there's days where I just go, no, just can't brain today.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one the other day, didn't I?
Oh, Monday, yeah.
On Monday, and I just went, Dan, I'm not being funny. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've been sat there. It wasn't like I wasn't working. I was actively trying to do something, but just hated everything I'd done.
Yeah.
And like Chris, I spoke to Chris earlier,
Yeah.
and he was like, "No, they're good, mate." I'm like, So yeah, it's weird how I imagine that you could sort of tweak a similar technique to match up with.
That was my stomach. Yeah, sorry. I reckon the mic might have picked that up.
Have you got a predator living inside you?
There's someone in there.
I mean the creature, not like Jimmy Savile, but
I was always inside him. Sorry, that's unnecessary, but there you go.
Yeah, I think something like that could be tweaked to match someone who is not neurotypical, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like I think that for someone like yourself who's not well.
Oh, I'm riddled.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
riddled
I'm not having a bloody
sprinkling of the tism.
Oh, I've got a touch of that going on. Yeah. I just sort of crack on.
Yeah, no, but I can see that I know personally that does have a benefit, because Dan's forever saying, when did you last go outside? And I'll say 3.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
And it's fucking go outside. And it does help. It's sort of, for me, it's not so much as avoiding a burnout as just, I don't know how to word it.
Refreshing.
Sort of resetting my brain, because I've been so focused on one thing for so long, and then you go, oh, trees. It does sort of help, especially in this room, because there's nothing for me to go, like ADHD people do. So
yeah, you're in a room with 0 windows.
Yeah, there's only so many times I can stare at Jude Bellingham without actively hating him for what he did to this country. He didn't do anything.
He almost saved our bacon, the poor bugger. But yeah, you've mentioned an interesting point there, Tay, about how you can tweak these things. And I think that's the overriding thing to remember with any of these little life hacks. And I'm not talking about what we're discussing on the podcast. I'm talking about the bullshit you're seeing left, right and centre on TikTok, YouTube, no matter what platform you digest content on. People are being told lots of conflicting information or lots of systems in ways to try and progress. And it doesn't have to be financially. It could just be in terms of health, could be in terms of diet, there's sleep even. There's so many things that people want to give advice about nowadays, but you don't have to follow it line by line, by letter. You can try these things as they're intended, see where you didn't enjoy the process, and tweak it to suit you. We're all fucking different. You know what I mean?
I do think the sort of working world, the labour market, that sort of thing, is sort of recognising all this sort of shit now, isn't it?
100%.
Because the amount of people you see now that hybrid work because it is proven to increase productivity and happiness within the workplace and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as much as the sort of old hat boomer managers don't like it because they can't maintain
Control.
as tight a grip of control, I think that the people who are starting to take over, who are of the generation after them, are realising that it's an active hindrance to force people into the office every day of the week. And do you know what I mean?
Well, the office move was actually genuinely, from like a business owner's perspective, the only reason why a lot of companies in office environments rather than retail environments, they shut down their offices and told people to work from home because it saves them about 150 grand a year on rent and business rates. That's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody started this, you know, due to COVID and went, oh, we might increase productivity. What they realised was that the productivity remained the same, but they weren't having to pay rent or business rates. So it's like, well, fuck that off. We've got a company saving here. That can go straight to the top dogs for most of the people that do own office blocks. And they just chuck it on their fucking dividends for the year. So, but yeah, that there since have been lots of studies to show increased productivity. And again, it's not everybody is more productive. There's a lot of people that don't know how to work at home. They don't understand the concept and they just want to sit there and watch telly rather than be proactive and productive. But if you've got a bit of self-control, working from home can be a great thing for sure. Yeah.
But I think all of these are going to apply to certain people, aren't they? And that's sort of what I was driving at. So for
sure.
It's you just got to find the technique that works for you.
Definitely. The next one is probably my favourite out of all of them, which is time blocking. Now, I have driven every individual in this company pretty much up the fucking wall since I heard that audiobook, and it said about time management, have a digital calendar and time block. Time block, so that the reason why we use it so much in this company with, say, 14 staff, is that we've started interlinking roles and responsibilities. Now, if you've got one project that's needed by or is being completed by 3 people, if they can't see what the other 2 are doing, you're fucked. You've got no way of managing when you're going to do something, when it's going to be delivered by, so the next person can pick up their aspect of the responsibility or project and then run with it. So time blocking is good from a communication perspective, but it's also really good for your own like self-control and productivity, really. Planning is like, I can't believe how much I have to say this, but having a plan is imperative. I fucking hate this little saying I'm about to use. I'll let you finish it off for me, though.
Fucking hell. I already know what you're going to say.
Fail to plan, Taylor.
Plan to fail.
Indeed, it's shit and I hate it.
Anyway, it's not planned, but...
Oh, well, there we go. Smashed it.
Fail to prepare to fail.
And unfortunately, it is 9 times out of 10 true. You get these outliers that just happen to be relatively gifted and store information by accident, and then they can go and smash an exam or a test and they've not put any effort in. But that's the few and far between. That is not the majority, right? You're better off tackling a process with the assumption, I don't know how to complete this, and then create the plan, time block out each of the aspects you've got to do to then complete said plan, and away you go. I'm going to have a little read of what they've specifically recommended here. So they're saying that time blocking involves scheduling specific blocks of time for different tasks or activities throughout your day. How to use it. Identify the task that you need to complete. Allocate specific time slots for each... Try that one again. Allocate specific time slots for each task in your calendar and stick to the schedule as closely as possible. That end point is really important, because a lot of people, when they're not used to using time management tools, they start using it and they overcommit. And it's like, oh my God, I've just put in a 2-hour block. I've finished 45 minutes ahead of schedule. What do I do now? Well, you know, it's not set in stone. It's a digital changeable calendar. If you've completed it quicker or slower, amend it and move the rest of your following tasks. That was hard, wasn't it? That was hard. But some people just don't. They've never been told this. They've never been shown it. And therefore it is new and they don't understand it. And for me, I found that a very strange thing to accept 10 years ago. I found that a very strange thing that not everybody processed information exactly how I do.
I did think that was a dig at me then, because I used to do that all the time.
Not at all, mate. Genuinely wasn't. So there we go.
The shoe fucking fits. It's
No, honestly, that wasn't at you. That one.
no, but I did used to do that when Dan relentlessly told me to use a digital calendar, which I hate doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would not overestimate how long things would take, because they would often take that long, but then freak out when they didn't take that long.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just understanding that what you're trying to do is give yourself well, I love this little thing. It's your current self protecting your future self from mistakes. It sounds very weird, but just let it sink in for a minute, because basically all of us, all human beings, and especially in today's day and age, we've all got a mobile phone. We've all got distractions left, right, and fucking centre. And it's why we all could tell you who Andrew Tate is when the guy was non-existent only a matter of 5-6 years ago, right? He's just come up on social media. Everybody's looking at their phones. They see this bloke. He imparts some wisdom and misogynistic nonsense. And then we all just flock to it, like fucking sheep.
Fucking lump me in with that.
No, I wouldn't dare, Taylor. I wouldn't dare. But I bet you his name or a video of him has come up on your reel at some point in the last 2 years.
Yes.
Definitely.
All the time.
Right.
I can't escape the fucking knobhead.
And this is the point. There were distractions everywhere. The one person that is not being distracted whilst everybody else is watching his fucking videos is bloody Andrew Tate. So he's creating content. He's not absorbing it because he wants you to digest this information. Let's get distracted. And it's useless. But it's just important to know that you've got flexibility with this process, and it's about you stopping yourself from falling into the bad habits that we've all picked up over the years, like especially as social media has become way more, I don't know, sort of minute by minute used. Like even jobs now, people are like searching through Twitter as part of their job, and there's distractions within their job. Like it's almost impossible to avoid, but by setting a plan, sticking to it, and making sure that during your working hours you are being productive and proactive, I guarantee you, your mental health will improve, and you will just drastically decrease stress, because you don't have to worry about what's coming up. You know what's coming up. You've pre-planned your next week or your life, and away you go. So time blocking, I like that stuff. I think it's a really, really good time management tool and life hack. So there we are.
If you saw Dan's calendar, you'd think that he wanks to it.
I mean, sometimes one can't be helped but masturbate to the joys of time management.
I found out things that I didn't want to know about Dan's life by looking at his calendar to see what he's doing on a particular day.
What have you found out?
No, just when you've got like dates with people and, and Dad's birthday. I don't need to know that. We're not that kind of friends. But I do know that because of Dan's time blocking.
Ah. It's important just to lay these things out. I will just quickly mention a negative, because I think that's important actually with these little life hacks. Is there a con to all of these pros? For me, there has been one with the calendar usage and time blocking, and it is that my actual short-term, mid-term memory is appalling. I mean, like as in next level terrible, because I'm not worrying about what's coming up. I know it's going to be told to me 10 minutes before the task starts in my Google Calendar app. I'm going to get a notification, right, Dan, 10 minutes, you've got a meeting with XYZ. That is enough time for me to then get into the right mode and be ready for my next task. But it does mean that I don't think about what I've got coming up. I just use my Google Calendar as a bit of a Bible. Now, if, for example, you don't often have, if your mobile phone dies every 25 minutes because you've not looked after the battery, then I'd recommend you get a paper diary. I mean, I'd recommend you get a new fucking phone personally, but if that's not an option, get a paper diary, start using that.
But
Take it with
that's
you.
what I'm like. I always used to, and Dan hates this, I use a notepad, and I write everything down in a notepad. And if you looked at it, you'd think I was clinically insane. Ooh. But it makes complete sense to me, and I'm more likely to remember something if it's on that than if it's in my calendar, even now, after using the calendar for so long. I only really use the calendar to sort of inform people that I'm doing something. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
You use it in a communicative way.
Yeah. That's not to say that I don't time block. I do, but not in the way that Dan does with the digital calendar. I do it with a list of shit on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
because I find it easier to do that. It's just the way my brain works.
Oh, mate. I'm this. As in, if you ask me what's my personal preference, up until me listening to that audiobook, everything I did was tick lists. I just wrote out I had this stupid rule. I had to complete 20 tasks in a day, and I maintained that for 5 years of this business. That I wrote down a minimum of 20 things every single day, 6 days a week, that were above and beyond, like get to work, open up the shop, stock the shelves. Like, I'm not going to put my fundamentals on there because that's bollocks. We've all got to do that anyway. So you've got to put above and beyond. One of the things for this is for people that feel like they're not progressing, you've got to understand before you start it that progression means more. It means more effort, not just more results. You don't just get more results because you're trying to get further and you're trying a bit. You need to put more effort in to get max reward. A lot of people think it's going to be handed to them on a plate. You're fucking stupid. Don't assume that life's just going to start giving you lemonade rather than lemons. You got lemons coming first, sweetheart. Trust me. You just got to roll with those punches. But yeah, that's the constant time blocking. It can genuinely impact your memory, is what I found firsthand. He's found the same thing.
I have a question for you, actually.
Hit me with it.
When you set out your calendar, do you manually put everything in it each week?
Well said. Good question there, Tay. See, I love this. Google Calendar's got a wonderful little feature, which is a repeated task. And there's no point every week, if you know you've got things that are better off being set in stone or rigid or consistent within a weekly week, make them repeated. You can set it to be repeated every other Tuesday of the month, every fucking Monday, whatever. There's loads of flexibility. But it means I'm not constantly looking at time management because I've pre-arranged basically the next 5 years of my life. I know that 8:30am every single Friday I've got a CFR with Chris. 9:30am I've got a CFR with Ryan. 10:30am once a month I've got a CFR with Mike on the Friday. And then it gets to the evening, 2:30 I've got a CFR with Jack. 3:30 CFR with Damo. I know my week. I don't have to worry about it.
See, this is where we completely differ. Obviously there's a couple of things in there that I do repeat, but have you noticed that my calendar's got less and less of the same stuff over and over again?
I hadn't
Don't
noticed.
suppose you looked, but I found that if I put everything to repeat, I would mentally skip over it.
Well, yeah, you got to have a bit of self-control in this process.
Yeah,
but I know what you're saying.
And I found that if I actively put the little thing in there, it's the matter of typing out 3 words. Do you know what I mean? You know, social posts, click. That's all it is. But I found that would make me more likely to actively remember to do it.
Yeah.
And to check the calendar and all this sort of thing.
Makes perfect sense.
Just leaving it on a rolling basis.
And again, that's important. 2 different people, both using the same tool, but tweaking it to suit them. I think that's the imperative thing with this. If you do start one of these sort of life hacks, you give it a go for like 3 days, and then you bottle it, and then that sounds the wrong choice of words. That sounds derogatory. If you give up and you change tact, in my opinion, you've not given it long enough to see if it works. So there's been God knows how many studies on this, but it takes 21 days of consistency to break a habit. That's how long it takes on average for a human being to break a habit of a lifetime. So if you're not committing to 21 days of a concept, you're not really committed, full stop. Like, even if you are seeing negatives, just ride through. It's 21 days of your life. For fuck's sake. Like, all right, yeah, you could die tomorrow. Sorry that you spent 2 days trying to be more proactive and productive. Bloody Nora. Worst thing in the world, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's really, it's a good point you raised there, that it doesn't suit you personally, and you have tried both methods. It doesn't suit you personally to have to repeat your tasks, so fine. You've tweaked it and made it work for you.
And in my situation, it doesn't help that my job is even now quite reactive as opposed to proactive. It's very difficult to plan my week out because things come up, things don't happen, do happen, need to happen quicker, don't happen. Do you know what I mean? So it's a case of that my calendar, if you looked at it on Monday, it would look completely different throughout the entire week by Friday. Yeah. Because stuff happened. Like today, I came in expecting to do certain things, and I ended up having messages off 3 people that needed meetings with me today. So I was in meetings most of the afternoon, and then, So the stuff that I did have on has now been pushed to tomorrow, and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a very good way of reminding myself the fact I've still got to do those things, because I would probably forget otherwise.
There we go. Cheers calendar.
Yeah.
Handy little thing. Now this next one, I've heard this in a lot of self-help books. Again, I'm kind of... I'm 6 of one, half a dozen of the other for this one. But it's called the 2-minute rule, right? They describe it as... It's popularised by David Allen in his book Getting Things Done, suggests that if a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. So... When you identify a small task, ask yourself if it can be completed in 2 minutes or less. If yes, do it right away. If no, schedule it for later. It sounds mad reading that out, right? Because I didn't know that people didn't think that way. I didn't realise that...
It depends on the context of the task.
That's the important point. So, for example, there's another rule that falls in very nicely with this one. And it's called the touch it once rule. Nah, that sounds very rude, doesn't it? At face value. Bonjour.
Yeah, if it takes the touch it once rule and it takes less than 2 minutes, what the fuck are you doing in that office?
So, the touch it once rule, just so that you've got a comparison, is, for example, if you have just finished your dinner, you're holding your dinner plate and your knife and fork, you've got a dishwasher, do not put it on the side. Does it belong there? Is that the next step in the fucking process for washing that dish? No. Put it in the pissing dishwasher. Why give yourself a second job is the point. So touch it once is if you've picked something out to move it or put it somewhere, fucking put it where it belongs. Not put it halfway across the bloody lounge and then leave it for the next 3 weeks. That's the point. Because again, all of these things, physical clutter up your mind. And you end up fucking chasing your tail thinking, why am I stressed at the minute? You look around you and your room's full of shite. And you're like, oh, well, that doesn't make a difference. Of course it bloody does. A clear space, clear mind. Try and look after your space and your mind should do the rest of it for itself, we hope. But at least it's a starting point. The 2 minute rule, though, I kind of like it. It's going to be things like if a simple email comes into your inbox and it's from a client saying, are you available this Friday for a 5-minute catch-up? Yes, I am. Please send me a calendar invite. Thank you. That is a 30-second response. You know, I knew by the second I'd finished the last line of the email that it needs, I can respond to it super quick. I may as well get it out of the way and done with, rather than opening it, forgetting to mark it as unread, and then missing the email, and then never getting the meeting done. Those are the examples of like quick 2 minute things, just get it done, don't wait. But there are so many examples where I would say it's not necessary to do it in that 2 minutes. And this is where the subjectivity comes in. And you've got to work out what suits you. Don't just assume that you're now David fucking Goggins because you went for a run yesterday morning. You're not going to go and do 112 miles, mate. It's not happening. It's not happening. But take it step by step, give it a go, try things, and tweak them over time. Tweak them until they become your life hack. That's the important thing. I thought you were going to say something of value there, Tay, but no, you just choked on yourself.
No, yeah. I cannot interject anything into that because I'm guilty of every detrimental thing Dan just said.
This is it. It's tricky, but it's one of the little life hacks that I did take on board when I started trying to refine what I was doing, how I was doing it. I wanted to try and complete more things in a day than what most people would assume to be humanly possible. And the only way I ever managed to get there was this sort of malarkey. So again, someone that was pretty rigid in his thinking, and I didn't like the idea of being told what to do, I just had to tackle these processes open-mindedly and give them all a go. Just give them a go. Find out what works for you, find out what doesn't, try and reach a balance so that you've got a great life and a great work life. And in theory, you should be happier across the board, is the logic. So there we are. 2 minute rule for you. Just a quick one, the benefits on that one. It quickly clears small tasks from your to-do list. It prevents small tasks from piling up, and it increases productivity by reducing procrastination on minor tasks. All things that if you really sat there and thought about it are pretty obvious, but we don't often bother thinking past what we see in front of us. So yeah, 2 minute rule. Numero quattro, Taylor. Number 4, batch processing. This is an interesting one. So here, batch processing, it involves grouping similar tasks together and completing them in one go, rather than switching between different types of tasks. I've got a good one for this. For anybody who lives on their own or does their own washing, and I mean clothes, genuinely I've created a little mini hack for this. It's quite sad that I've done this in my life, but it's true. What I do is, I'll put a wash on, let's say, Friday morning. If it's sunny outside and I know it's going to dry by the end of the day, what I do is, I put the second wash on straight after, so that by the time the first one's dried and I've got to fold it up, put it away, once that's put away, the second one's ready to be hung out. And it means I've got zero time waste. I've got zero time where the clothes horse is in use and can't be used for the next wash. I don't need to think about that. I've got a constant cycle of clean clothes, and it's just given me less stress in life. Genuinely true. Genuinely true. Or, if it's winter, just so that you can use this all year round, I don't like putting my heating on because it costs money, and fuck energy companies. So, there you go. What I'll do is, I'll do a wash on a Tuesday, let's say. I know it's going to take me 2 days, 3 days to dry indoors. I would put the heating on slightly for this, I must admit. I don't want damp. Bonjour. Excuse that. And then what I'll do is, once the 2-3 days are up, the morning of the third day, I'll put the next wash on. Knowing it takes an hour and 25 minutes. Once I'm an hour and 10 minutes in, I've got 15 minutes to fold up the previous shit that's on the clothes horse. That goes in the bedroom, put away. Next wash is done. Bosh. Hung straight out the moment it gets beeped.
Can you tell Dan's single?
Can you tell I'm autistic? These are little things that I had to try and build into my existence to have a constant flow. Like, I want to socialise. I want to work. I want to have fun. I want to go out and just go for a walk or fucking live life a bit. Do you know what I mean? I want to sit down and watch a film. But the only way you can really get a marriage of all of them and remove stress is ensure that you got a plan for the necessity shit. And then the nice stuff just follows. And then life is like, you don't think about, oh fuck, I've got to put a wash on. No, there's a system to it. I built a system up. I've done it for 10 years. It's easy. Yeah. There you go. Any... Oh, the look on your face, T. Any thoughts to that? You're gonna...
Not really.
You don't like the sound of that one, do you?
No, I'm just useless at actually getting my washing done.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now, which of the current 4 life hacks would you choose to use to ensure that you get your washing done better?
I'm quite happy living in denial.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule?
No, because it takes longer than 2 minutes.
Well, are there clothes on your bedroom floor?
I have ADHD, Dan. I think you know the answer to that.
Fine. Do you have a wash bag?
Yes.
2-minute rule you create is when you take an item of clothing off, it goes straight in a wash bag.
Definitely doesn't. It goes on the floor.
Well, I mean... Fair enough, Taylor. Fair enough.
I am a firm believer in the floor drobe.
I have another little 2-minute life hack. There you go. Whenever I'm coming up to Oxfordshire, in fact, I do it every day, no matter what I'm doing, but I put out my boxers, socks, shorts, and the top that I'm going to wear the next day, the night before.
That's... What the fuck?
Literally, 2 minutes before bed, I'm up about to get into bed, I'm going past my bedroom drawers, and I just get it done. So the next day I wake up, I haven't got to think at all first thing. It's just in the clothes, away we go.
It's like the night before the Year 6 disco, getting your shirt out with flames on it.
There's going to be a lot of Ribena drunk tomorrow night, boys. Let's get ready. Genuinely true, though. That's my life.
Oh, God.
And now it is kind of sad, because that one's not necessary, is what I'm going to say.
No.
That one is... It's just something that I've built into my life that is... I guess it's kind of the grouping things together, or the batching process. It's like if I'm up and taking clothes off, I'm batching that process with ensuring that my clothing's ready for the next day. And I don't really know why I do it. But I just did it once and I found myself getting out of bed quicker. I didn't snooze my alarm. I was like, oh, I wonder, well, if my clothes are there ready to go, I just got to get in them. It's like I tricked my own brain. That's the best way I can put it. I sort of tricked myself unintentionally. and it worked. And the original thing that started it is when I wanted to try and start running. Not as in becoming a pro runner, but just getting a bit fitter. And one of the little hacks was to basically put your running shoes and the clothing that you're going to wear for the run out the night before, so that your brain is already thinking about the following morning's first process. And it was, do you know what? It fucking worked. For someone that had never done a morning run or morning exercise, and I mean never, like other than walking to school as a kid, I just put my shoes at the end of my bed, I put the socks there, the clothes, and I just got up. Like, it was, I don't know, it's very hard to describe, but that's what happened to me when I did this process. I'll go through some of the examples they give, because obviously I've given proper autistic weird ones there, so I'll try and hit you with some more realistic ones. What they have said here, so, identify tasks that are similar in nature, e.g. answering emails, making phone calls, and administrative work. Schedule specific blocks of time to complete these tasks together. Focus solely on the batch of tasks during the allocated time. The benefits of doing so are: it reduces the mental effort required to switch between different tasks, it increases efficiency by focusing on similar activities, and it helps to maintain momentum and flow.
I actually disagree with that.
Here we go.
I do disagree with that. From someone, so I do for the company quite a lot of graphic design stuff. And I find that if I do lots of the same thing in a row, A, I run out of ideas. B, I get very bored of doing the same thing on repeat. Because I'm very, very, very easily bored. Do you know what I mean? I get bored of stuff really quickly. So I find that if I do too many of the same thing in a row, the quality of it towards the end drops off.
Yeah.
So I will always do, a bit of graphic design stuff, a bit of social media stuff, a bit of, answering emails. And I'd sort of jot about like that. I don't know if that's related to ADHD. It probably is in some way, shape or form, because it's like an attention deficit. So I wonder if my attention span runs out and probably I need to think of something else. But personally, that one doesn't work for me.
I think there's a level, really. And again, I guess a lot of these people that have created these kind of life hacks and habit loop tricks, they're doing it, I guess they're primarily targeting people that either work for themselves or they have like a lot of varied jobs and responsibilities within like a single working day. Because you're right, like for yourself, if you are a graphic designer, I think a lot of your work might be graphic design. Do you know what I mean? So they're not referring to people that have got a consistent, consecutive list of tasks. Like, I need to design this poster for this thing. I need to design that web banner for that thing. Because then you would just always be lumping it into one. I've got to do my job, basically. So in that example, so for any of you out there that are similar to Tay, that have got, say, more consecutive of the same things going on, then you would use the first rule. Let me just remind myself of the bloody name. Thank you, the Pomodoro technique. Just where, like, you give yourself a break in between tasks. And that's what I've tried to kind of impress on everybody in this business, is that, trust me, take 2 minutes. I'm still going to pay you for it. I just want you to step outside, refresh yourself, give yourself as a human being, a fucking animal flopping around on this bloody rock still, the best chance at doing what's needed to be done in that day. And, yeah.
No, on a serious note, I think the one of the ones so far is that one that works for me. Whether it's not always going outside, but even just getting up, doing a lap of the warehouse, going having a 2-minute chat with Rich or Mike or something like that. And
that will force you back in here in no time.
Oh yeah,
you speak to Rich for long enough, mate.
Suddenly I miss my computer. No, but no, just a change of environment. I do that a lot actually, just in life. Just a change of environment. I'll just go, fuck it, I'm going somewhere. Yeah. Go for a drive, go for a walk, go see my mum, go
do something different.
Yeah.
It breaks things up, keeps life more interesting, and it definitely improves focus. That I've tested it and it works. We are on to the last one, Tay. We're on to the Eisenhower Matrix. Doesn't that sound fucking flashy? Here we go. So, what it is, the Eisenhower Matrix, also known as the Urgent Important Matrix, helps prioritize tasks based on their urgency and importance. They recommend you use it as follows. Divide your tasks into 4 categories. Urgent and important. Do these tasks immediately. Important but not urgent. Schedule these tasks for later. Urgent but not important. Delegate these tasks if possible. neither urgent nor important. Eliminate or minimize these tasks. Number 2, focus on completing tasks in the urgent and important quadrant first. Now, again, I was a little bit confused when I first read that because I assumed that's what everybody kind of did in their head. They went, like, if a task is time sensitive and it's due by 12 midday and you've got another task that isn't relevant or due until the following week, probably crack on with the one that's due at 12, you know? I didn't realise that was a cause for debate. I didn't realise.
No, I don't know that that's a technique and not just logic.
But that is the thing, mate. But a lot of people, and the more and more I speak to different people that either work in different sectors, roles, have different jobs, careers, whatever, these things that a lot of us take for granted as being just a way that we think, most people don't have it. Like, it's actually baffling. But it's just being accepting of that, and then how do people like you and I give them useful tips and TikToks they can change their lives for the better. Or watch some of the conspiracy theory videos that we've done, because they're entertaining as fuck and they will help you procrastinate. So, choices.
Well, do you think I know so much about them?
There we go. Procrastination for the nation, baby. Let's go. Yep, nailed it, Tay. So, have I used this in my life? Yes, I have. I've used the Eisenhower matrix. Have I done it in a way of, like, including some of the other life hacks that I've mentioned already? Yes, I have. Time management. If you're going to sit there at the beginning of a week and you're going to try and plan out your week, I recommend that you use the Eisenhower matrix to start your list. Just put them down. Don't try and put them down in chronological order. But then once you've got your list of tasks for the week, you can then prioritize them. You can put them into certain slots and away one goes. There is another little life hack I want to introduce to you to help with that one. Now I've got to get my thought back because that little trail's just gone off centre. I've gone off piece. Is it piece to piece for skiing? Off piece?
Do you honestly think that I know anything about skiing?
Taylor, you know a lot about a lot of things. How? I don't know. Why? I don't know. But you know it.
Yeah, skiing's... well, there you go. Skiing's not one of them. So I have no idea. I think it's pieced.
Yeah, so we're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing that is very, very handy to introduce into this little life hack is something that scientists thankfully worked out through many, many studies over the past 25, 30 years. And it is that 2 hours after you being awake, the following 2 to 3 hours are, by definition, the most productive and creative hours for your brain. So if you've got anything important to do in a day, put that in your first 2 hour time block and break it into segments, depending on what it is. Give yourself a break at the 45-minute or the hour mark for just 2 minutes, go get some fresh air, crack back on with it afterwards. But always make sure your most important thing's happening at the beginning of the day. Don't leave the important shit until 4 p.m. because that's when you're demotivated, you want to go home, you think you're done for the day, and you're just not helping yourself. So yeah, important shit. It actually is about 4 o'clock. Yeah. It is. Well said, Tay. But we're in here doing a bit of counselling and helping people out with life shit, so it's nice. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just realising quite how dysfunctional I am.
But this is I had no idea when I first started listening to this book, and I had a lot of little weird habits, I guess, that I had introduced into my life unintentionally. I wasn't doing them to be more proactive or productive. I just did them because I thought it helped a bit. And but then when you start listening to what the super successful people do, this is a little segue back into the book, the 15 tips that successful people know about time management. They interviewed the lady that was the CEO of Twitter back before Musk purchased. And he's interviewed basically loads and loads and loads of CEOs, CFOs, founders, all these different mega successful people that, you know, I mean, their companies are probably generating 150 million plus a year. Not, you know, little piddly numbers, but impressive shit. It's hard to get these things done. It's very hard to complete all of those tasks in order to generate that kind of revenue or money. So for those of you out there that follow life hack tips because you want more money, which I think is a fucking terrible idea, unless you've got something that you want to do with it, anyway, make sure that you are utilising as many of these little tools as you can and find a marriage as to what suits you. But in that book anyway, that all of the CEOs and the individuals that he interviewed, they all get up and exercise within the first hour of being awake. Not one of them doesn't. Another thing that was strange, every single one of them woke up no later than 6 a.m. Not one of them was in bed past 6 a.m. And the other major thing that they were doing was time saving with food.
Yeah, having a chef, and I've seen this before.
Oh, I wasn't going to go chef, but fair play. Yeah, the ultra
I've seen
rich.
one some rich guy. He's mates with Andrew Tate. I can't remember his fucking name.
Oh, that Waller.
The Hick guy.
Mike Waller? Is it that?
The one who's like, he's built and he's got like a construction company.
Yeah.
And he does it in a cunty way because he's friends with Andrew Tate. But basically what he says is, I can achieve more. I can basically earn more money in the time it would take me to leave my house, go to the shop, buy ingredients, come back, cook, eat, and then clean up. Yeah. I can earn more money in that time by not doing that and still make money on top of paying someone to do that for me.
Yes.
So that wasn't very well worded, but you get what I mean.
I know exactly the video that you're on about when he talks about that. And again...
he's to fire up the Lambo. Fuck off, mate. You've got a good point, but...
Don't kill it with the...
Yeah, you just made yourself look like a dick.
Because you try to show off to the average people that are your audience that now you're making them think they should want to have a private chef and a fucking steak every night for dinner. And they should also have a G-Wagon downstairs.
I mean,
I
do want all of those things.
Yeah, you get them and then you realise it's just, I don't know, I imagine it's probably just more stress.
Just to get them though.
But the thing is, whenever people hear these ultra-rich, ultra-fucking successful people do these things, don't assume that you can jump on that fucking bandwagon straight away. Please don't be so naive to think that, well, he's fucking Rick Waller. I know it's not Rick Waller, but you know what I'm saying. Whatever his name is, or Andrew Tate. Yes, they're telling you all of these things. They can earn more money than a chef can in the same amount of time. Does your salary exceed 250 grand a year? If it doesn't, you probably can't afford that chef. Like, don't be stupid. Right, there's a balance here, and you've got to look at every individual little tip on its own merit. What fucking Rick Waller's talking about is very sensible, but it's only very sensible if he's going to be productive in that time that he would have gone to the shops, bought his food, come back, cooked it, and away you go. Then it makes sense. But if you're going to sit there and just go, oh no, the chef's going to do it, but I'm going to sit here idle while they're cooking, then you're not proving his point. The point is that he's willing to work instead of cook. Most people don't want to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, I was watching a talk by Jordan Peterson, who I don't particularly like him, but occasionally he makes a good point. And they were talking about the patriarchy. So this idea that society is male dominated and run by men and all this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And the interviewer said, well, why are 96 of the FTSE 100 top companies run by men then? And he said, yeah, but it's a very specific type of man. This isn't men on the whole. It takes a very specific type of uber-driven man. They're normally very well driven, very healthy. Mm-hmm. They're willing to work 100, 120 hours a week for 30 to 40 years to get to the top. Now, that isn't the average person. It's nowhere near the average person. And the counter-argument, he says, is most of the people on the street are men. Most of the people in prison are men. Do you know what I mean? So in order to compare yourself to these people who are at the top, very top of the top, you know, the Elon Musk and that of the world. I mean, not Elon Musk because he stole all his shit, but we'll...
now that is going to be mentioned on the podcast, I hope, because now I'm really intrigued.
What?
Yeah. That Elon Musk
he like commandeered Tesla and all this sort of stuff. Tesla's not his company, and all this. Do you not know this?
No.
Okay, we can talk about that in future. I don't know enough about it right now, but yeah. So to compare the average person, it's like comparing your average Sunday League footballer to someone who plays for Real Madrid. Yeah. They've spent their life getting to there. Just because you fancy turning out on a Sunday every 3 weeks, that's not the same thing. But it doesn't mean you can't do better in turning out for that Sunday League team.
Yes, 100%.
You're never going to play for Real Madrid, but that's not really an issue because
you would.
There's only 28 people that do it at any one time anyway.
Very true. Very true. Managing realistic expectations, but always aim for the stars. Like, I know it sounds silly, but you've made a valid point. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go and play for Madrid. No. If you want to improve, look at what those players do and introduce what you feasibly and realistically can into your own lifestyle. You're not. And again, another thing a lot of people do with these processes when you're looking at making a life change is that there's two forks of thinking usually. It's, I'm going to introduce one small change at a time, so not to disrupt my fucking chi, whatever the bloody hell's going on, but just so that you're not shocking yourself and scaring yourself into such an abundant change. The alternative thinking is my own personal method, and it's like, if you really want to see that difference and you decide mentally that that is the change I'm going to get, you may as well fucking make life change now. Don't wait 6 months to get to the point that you want to get to. Introduce all of those life changes as early on as you can. But again, it's subjective, and that's why I'm saying there's two forks of thinking. My own personal system is that the abundance of change, your kind of brain gets used to it quicker because you're doing it all at once, rather than saying, well, here's one bite-sized chunk. I'm just going to manage that for now and then introduce more once I've mastered that one. I feel like if you really are ready for change, you will make it. Is my own personal take on that. Mm. But again, it's so subjective. And Tay and I are very different people, so you've probably got a different outlook on that.
No, I'm actually the same when it comes to new experiences and new responsibilities, anything like that. I'm very much a person, I call it the in at the deep end type thing, where I want the worst case scenario dumped on me straight away, so I know I can work towards it getting better from there.
Yeah,
I would rather know what rock bottom looks like and work up.
Yeah.
Than not know where the worst case scenario is. I'm worst case scenario for everything. Like it, yeah. I have to know like plans 14 weeks in advance. I'm supposed to be going down to Bournemouth to help Dan with something this month. I've asked him probably 15 times what we're doing, when we're doing it, how we're doing it.
Yeah,
and I think he's sick of the question now. But
do you know what? It's the maddest thing of it's the people that obviously organise the friendly matches for which you're going to come and get involved in, right? Those people do not plan and manage individuals to the level that, say, you and I do on a day-to-day basis. So for them, yes, they've got 25 lads they need to keep informed about when the fuck shit's happening. They're not considering the fact that there are people like me in the world that plan things 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 12 months in advance. I do. I want to know that I've got something to look forward to, and I want to know I've got some productive shit coming up in the future. If I ain't got it in my calendar, I feel a bit nervous for not having it. I want to know that my life is moving. I don't want to be looking at my plans, my existence, and go, oh, well, there's fuck all in that then. Where'd your motivation come from? So the tricky part has been that we're dealing with people that are not part of this lifestyle. They don't have careers or similar lives to what I have, nor most of the lads that play for the team, nor the people that we're trying to help bring the team up a level. And yeah, they don't really do the whole planning and communication thing as well as one would like. But it's just people playing to their strengths, isn't it? And unfortunately, in life, a lot of the time, you're reliant on other people's planning and distribution of tasks. And sometimes it doesn't fall in line with how you would do it. It's a kicker, because I'm like you, I want to know. I want to know, plan it well, get all the products in, get all the different camera equipment in, know that we'll be editing the following 7 days, we should have results on this date, then we can plan and build a picture.
Yeah.
Without the plan, without a picture, you're running into nothingness, and that's a fucking dangerous thing to do, from my own perspective. But yeah. I've just seen, we've just clicked over the hour mark there. I'll do a little quick recap on the different names of the little life hacks that we've delivered you today. So numero uno was the Pomodoro technique. That is where you give yourself little breaks throughout your time management and your task planning. You've then got number 2, time blocking. This is where you deliberately put in chunks of time to complete certain tasks in your working week or working day. After that, we had the 2-minute rule, which is also interlinked with the touch it once rule. Again, I've just found that one handy myself. Up to you if you like it, don't like it, want to do it, don't want to do it. But if it's a matter of you thinking it's too much effort, then I'd recommend that you do it. Anything you feel like, oh, I don't want to do that, just fucking do it and get on with it. Give it a go. See how bad it makes your life. I bet it ain't going to be that bloody bad. Number 4, batch processing. This is where you lump together similar tasks and you try and get them done within an hour block or 2 hour block of each other so that you stay in a single focused mind state and you get things done more productively and swiftly is the premise there. Number 5, the Eisenhower matrix, which is the urgent important matrix. That is where you try and prioritize your most important, most urgent tasks depending on time dependence. I like it, mate. I think giving little useful tips could help some people. I hope it does. I hope there's some little snippets we can get out of this that people benefit from, because these things have genuinely changed my life. And I have a lot of friends and stuff that I guess, or friends or associates, whatever, that they look at what they think my existence is based on paper or on material value, but they don't know how I got there. That is how I got there. This little sheet of madness has retired my parents, just to put it into perspective. I'm not saying that you do all these 5 things, all of a sudden you're a multi-millionaire, whatever, but hopefully it makes you more comfortable. And that's the aim of the game, isn't it? So thank you very much, Taylor, for your time today. I hope it's been an interesting experience having me plan and run with it rather than you. And remember, I said interesting, not enjoyable.
I felt like a little bit of a lemon, because normally I lead them, but it's been something very different, and that's what I wanted from it. So
yeah, little change of dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank
you very much. I've been Dan. That's Taylor. I'll do it for him. Don't worry about it. Cheers, Tay. Bye-bye.